Hey there, CineMaster fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The movie The Resort begins on 20 years after the apocalypse. The zombie virus was mostly under control, but many zombies still roam the world. Capitalists seized this opportunity to create a unique attraction on a remote island, transforming it into a five-star resort themed around zombies. Visitors could purchase tickets to experience real-life zombie shooting games. These two rookies were having a blast even though their shooting skills were terrible, missing their targets entirely. But Lewis was different. He was clearly an experienced player. He handed the gun to his girlfriend, Melanie, and patiently guided her on how to aim and shoot. However, when Melanie aimed at a zombie, she hesitated, unnerved by the look in its eyes. Archer, on the other hand, was impressive. With a blank expression, he pulled the trigger, hitting his targets with deadly accuracy. Everyone was amazed by his shooting skills. As evening approached, the tour guide took the visitors to a campsite where they would spend the night. While everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves, Melanie remained worried, unable to shake off her unease. It didn't take long for things to go wrong. The control room experienced a critical failure, causing the security system to crash and releasing all the zombies. Some tourists were still outside, blissfully unaware of the impending danger. As they prepared to return to the campsite, a zombie suddenly leapt out from behind, biting one of the tourists. The others, terrified, scrambled into their cars and sped away. Zombies flooded into the entertainment areas, turning the place into a hellish nightmare as everyone frantically tried to escape. Realizing the situation was out of control, the technicians in the control room made a run for it. Unfortunately, they ran straight into a horde of zombies at the exit. As the undead swarmed the control room, STI couldn't believe her eyes. Her meticulously managed resort was now in chaos. In her shock, STI noticed one zombie pointing at her angrily, yelling. It seemed this zombie held a grudge. Completely unprepared for such a scenario, Sadie rushed into a nearby room seeking shelter. She locked herself in, not caring about the fate of her employees. For the moment, she was safe. Meanwhile, Melanie was still at the campsite, completely unaware of the approaching danger. As she chatted with Valerie, she noticed Valerie's expression suddenly turned serious. Melanie turned to see a zombie. Valerie, who had never killed a zombie before, hesitated to shoot. Fortunately, Archer stepped in and took down the zombie just in time. The tourists initially thought it was part of the resort's special effects, but the tour guide sensed something was wrong. They would never do this. He turned on the car's roof lights and scanned the area, revealing zombies everywhere. The gravity of the situation finally hit the group, and they began to shoot at the approaching zombies. The guide attempted to start the car to escape, only to find that it had been tampered with by the director. With no response from the control room, it became clear that they were on their own. The number of zombies was overwhelming, nearly surrounding the entire campsite. The group had no choice but to climb onto the roof of the car. However, one of the men with glasses was a step too slow and got bitten on the arm while trying to climb up, meeting a tragic end. Fortunately, their firepower was strong enough, and they managed to eliminate all the zombies after a short while. The death of their companion dealt a heavy blow to the group, and they stayed on the car roof until dawn. As the sun rose, Archer asked about their remaining ammunition, and everyone admitted they were running low on bullets. Lewis suggested they wait for rescue, but the guide revealed that there was no rescue coming. In the event of an emergency, the entire island would be automatically sealed off, and headquarters would conduct an indiscriminate bombing of the island within 2.5 hours. The only way to escape was to reach the control center, which was several kilometers away. The guide then pulled out a map and identified the nearest escape route. He assured them that if nothing went wrong, they should be able to make it to safety. The group set off immediately and soon reached a protective fence with a horde of zombies close behind. Archer told the others to go ahead, while he and the guide stayed back to cover their retreat. As Melanie was passing through, a zombie suddenly lunged at her from inside a car, but Valerie quickly shot it, saving Melanie. Once everyone else had safely crossed, Archer followed. However, zombies were also on this side. The guide was bitten on the neck, and before anyone could react, Lewis shot him in the head. This sudden action terrified Melanie. Lewis tried to explain, but Melanie found him too ruthless. Archer, however, agreed with Lewis, stating that in a post-apocalyptic world, such measures were necessary. Melanie could only manage a resigned smile. After a grueling journey, they finally reached the control center. As they crossed an abandoned building, the sounds of zombies' growls filled the air, startling the group. They quickly took refuge in a room to calm their nerves. With a large horde closing in, they had to move quickly. Archer went out first to ensure it was safe, followed by Lewis and Melanie. When Valerie and Jack attempted to join them, the corridor was already swarming with zombies. They had no choice but to split up temporarily. They navigated around the horde and reached the back door, where they found a zombie tied up. Valerie managed to slip through safely, but when it was Jack's turn, the zombie suddenly woke up despite Valerie's desperate efforts to save Jack. She was bitten. Knowing the grim consequences of a bite, Valerie chose to face the horde alone to avoid endangering the others. After a long wait, the three finally spotted Jack, but he was being pursued by a large horde of zombies. The trio quickly made their way through a fence, and once Jack was safely inside, Melanie slammed the iron door shut, narrowly slowly escaping the threat. Melanie approached Jack to find out what happened to Valerie. Jack revealed that Valerie had met a tragic end. The group made it to the control center and opened a steel door, only to find a dark corridor ahead. With no other choice, they ventured in despite the ominous atmosphere. Halfway through, the corridor suddenly lit up with red lights, and intense heat began to fill the passage. Archer, quick thinking, wrapped his hand in clothing to shield it from the heat and managed to open the hot barrier. They crossed into another room, thinking they were safe, but a zombie dropped from above and bit Jack on the jaw. Archer reacted swiftly, dispatching the zombie, but Jack was already beyond saving. Archer had to mournfully send him off. Now, with only 3 survivors left, they entered the next room, which was large and filled with numerous tents. It turned out that before the island became a resort, it had been a refugee camp. No wonder there was a constant influx of zombies. The resort owners, in their greed, had turned the refugees into zombies to keep their business running. A truly heartless act. As they discussed exposing the truth, a horde of zombies suddenly emerged from the tents, forcing the trio to retreat once more. Archer attempted to close the door but was caught by the pursuing zombies. Melanie rushed to help him, but Lewis, instead of assisting, climbed up the chain and fled without a backward glance. Realizing the dire situation, Melanie finally understood Lewis's betrayal. Archer urged Melanie to escape, promising he would catch up. However, as she made her way to safety, Archer chose to stay behind. He knew he couldn't escape and told Melanie to make sure the resort's horrors were revealed to the world. He then surrendered to the zombies, resigning himself to his fate. With only 16 minutes left before the control center's explosion, Melanie, armed with a handgun, followed the directional arrows to the office area. Unfortunately, it was swarming with zombies. Just as she was about to make a run for it, Lewis appeared at the door, shutting it behind him. He quickly apologized, revealing that he had been bitten. Melanie, pointing the gun at him, hesitated to pull the trigger. Her compassionate nature took over, and she handed the gun to Lewis instead. Understanding her gesture, Lewis took the gun and ended his own life. Melanie quickly grabbed the handgun and escaped before the zombies could reach her. She sprinted through the facility and finally arrived at the control room, where Sadi, who had been hiding, pulled her inside just in time. With only 5 minutes left before the facility was set to explode, Sadi informed Melanie about an emergency escape route, though it was filled with zombies. To reach it, they would need to lure the zombies away. However, Melanie, furious over Sadie's past actions, was reluctant to cooperate. As tension rose, Sadi tried to grab the gun from Melanie, but the noise they made drew the zombies closer. Just as Sadi managed to take the gun, the door burst open and she was torn apart by the zombies. Seizing the opportunity, Melanie bolted towards the escape route. As the countdown to the explosion reached 0, Melanie sprinted out of the control room with a horde of zombies hot on her heels. A military aircraft tasked with bombing the island arrived just in time and bombs rained down, obliterating the area. In a desperate move, Melanie leaped into the ocean, barely escaping the blasts. She turned to see the island engulfed in flames, a sight both horrifying and final. A rescue helicopter spotted her and brought her back to the city. In the aftermath, Melanie exposed the horrors of the resort, drawing significant public attention. The survivors were given proper care and support, but for many, the revelations came too late. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in the next video.